Hi, it's Will Cumby, youth pastor for the Fountain of Praise in Houston, Texas. And it's been interesting moving from pre pandemic to pandemic and eventually going to post pandemic in this society. And you know what? We've done some creative things in our ministry. But I figured, how would it be better if we merge our ideas with other ministries to see how we can be beneficial for the kingdom in the most awesome way? Stay tuned. I have a great conversation with my good friend who is the director of student ministries at First United Methodist Church in Round Rock, Texas. His name is Taylor Ori. Take a look.
Taylor, good to see you, brother.
Hey, man, how are you doing?
Good, man. Great. I'm excited to be with you this morning, man. I know that this call today was divine, that it's not something that I just kind of came up with, but I think God was really challenging us as youth leaders to not only put out great content, but to review it and see how we can even expand what we're doing, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. This is truly an unprecedented time. Nobody has been through this before, as far as in modern history. I mean, you can go back and they talk about the Spanish flu of whatever it was, 1920. Well, I wasn't there, and I don't think you were there either.
No.
Most of us weren't there for that. So, this is new for us, and nobody has a degree in ministry during a crisis. I checked; they don't offer it anywhere. So
they don't. I looked. I'm in grad school right now, and I was like, this is one of the.
I think the thing that I'm really excited that our staff was able to pull together very, very quickly, was being able to craft an engagement plan for students. And it's weekly. Every single week you get something that you're going to be doing. That's on Monday, you're getting a reading plan. On Wednesday, there's a 1-minute live devotional. Or actually, sorry, that's Friday. Wednesday is Bible study online, and then we're leading worship on Instagram Live on Sunday. And then, TikTok and stuff like that throughout the week, just getting a plan together and doing it very, very quickly and doing it in a way that is sustainable. I think it's been our biggest win. There's huge. And so we try to meet at least once a week, but are constantly communicating throughout the week on different things that we see, different processes, different ideas and stuff like that.
Okay, so we do admit that, man, during this thing, we could have gotten away with once a month, but now once a week is a little more important. I would say our biggest win for our youth department is, I'll be honest, Wednesday nights were pretty bad. We were seeing about 8 kids on a Wednesday, mm-hmm. But now with the availability of doing e-ministries, we're seeing an uptick of somewhere around sometimes 20, even like 35 kids online, just on one platform, just on awesome. Instagram. On a Wednesday. So that's been a win. I do want to say this for those who are listening or watching, is that even if you're seeing maybe 3 kids or even 7 kids, take that time and really pour into those 3 or 7 mm-hmm. kids that you do
Absolutely.
have. Don't look at the numbers or compare yourself to somebody else's ministry numbers. If they're posting they had 50 kids or 100 kids come on their Zoom, that's cool. That's for them in their house. Like, take mm-hmm. care of what's going on. Like, if you are really focused on that 3 or that 5 or that 7, they will multiply. Like, if you're feeding them good food, they're going to want to tell other people about a place mm-hmm. where they can eat well. So I will say that's been our biggest win, is we have seen over the weeks growth in those numbers by our consistency of every Wednesday. Hey, we're going live. Every Sunday, we're going live, and we're going live on the same platform, so it continues to grow. I want to give this to you, man. What's been your greatest challenge, man? I know we talked. I hear the little guy in the background. That sounds like my little one.
Yeah, he's not happy. He's happy, but Mama's got him right now, so I think they'll be okay.
Mama's got him. Shout out to moms, man. Greatest challenge,
Absolutely.
man. I know. We talked a few days ago about how this time is giving you the opportunity to play mad scientist, to experiment with new things and try stuff that you've never done before. But man, what's been your greatest challenge? What's been your greatest challenge? I know one thing you told me is you said too much screen time was once the thing that we were fighting prior to this. Like, hey man, get off your phone. Let's get some FaceTime. I heard one person say prior to this, churches were like, you need to get to church. The internet is not a substitute for presence of Jesus and getting with family. And now they're like, meet us online. That's where the Lord is. So like, what?
Right.
So, and we had that thing where, in church, we're like, hey, get off your phone, get off your phone, get off your phone. And now we're like, get on your phone, get on your phone.
Right.
I mean, what's
Right.
been your greatest challenge, man? Now that we've done this.
Yeah, it's funny how fast things flip, right?
Yeah.
We're all of a sudden encouraging everybody to get back on their phones. Yeah, I think I'll say I think that has been a big challenge. Wrestling with our kids are already on screen so much. Online school in our area is getting back rolling. It just started back last week, and so kids are constantly on their screens, constantly on their phones. And we're seeing kids that are just saying, you know what, I don't want to be on my phone all the time. So how can we give them something that is not going to be on their phone? How can we give them something that is going to engage them, allow them to grow spiritually, and allow them to serve? And that's been a big challenge for us. I will say another challenge that we have found is our contacts and our records weren't quite as airtight as we thought they were. You always kind of assume you got everything lined up, all the papers are turned in, and then you go back and you're like, oh man, this student didn't put their cell phone number, or they only put 8 digits of their 10-digit cell phone number, stuff like that.
Mm.
But yeah, I think those two things, as you're navigating through, you start realizing, all the little things that you maybe hadn't seen before. You hadn't seen that so and so doesn't have an Instagram account.
Hmm.
You hadn't seen that some of our younger students don't have a cell phone. So the way that we engage our high school and our older students is different than our younger students, because younger students are borrowing mom's laptop or borrowing dad's computer to get on these Zoom calls. And so trying to work with families, stuff like that. I think that's just been one of the new challenges for our reality. But like you said earlier, I'm a big guy that believes in opportunity. And we've got a lot of opportunities that are really, really good during this time. And so I'm curious for you, what are some of the opportunities that you've seen? What are some of the things that you have looked at and said, oh my gosh, that's an opportunity that either we didn't see before or is new for us?
Well, you know what? To be honest, and that's one of the reasons why I'm glad that we're doing this call is in our community, home groups is not that popular,
Mm-hmm.
right? To do the small group thing. So if we did a small group, it was your ministry meeting, whether you have dance or drill team or band practice, like that was your small group time.
Mm-hmm.
But now we're seeing that we're able to expand that to these digital groups. So whereas individuals may be uncomfortable with allowing people into their home, they'll allow
Mm-hmm.
them into their home digitally or electronically. Like, okay, we can do it this way. So that's been very, very beneficial when it comes to small groups. So that's been an opportunity that we've seen. Also, we've seen the creativity of our leaders. That's been a great opportunity. I read in Exodus 35, he has filled them with skill to do all kinds of work,
Mm-hmm.
right? So he's given us this skill, but at the end of the day, God's not going to do it. We have to do it. So it's
Absolutely.
like, I'll give you the shovel, but you've got to do the digging. And so we have been able to uncover through the digging, our ministry teams have created these videos, and the videos have been engaging so that people who didn't normally come to our youth department or even come by to see
Mm-hmm.
what we're doing, they're like, hey, I want to be a part of that.
Right.
Another thing was I used to do morning prayer at one of the high schools every Wednesday, 7 a.m. And of course, we're not on the campus anymore.
Right.
And one of the kids was like, hey, man, I still want to do this morning prayer. And so last Wednesday, I said, hey, man, let's just do it as an Instagram call. They're zoomed
Mm-hmm.
out. They're like, I don't want to do any more Zoom calls. I'll do
Yeah.
Instagram, which I was like, that's cool. And the convenience of it is like, let's use scripture says what's in your hand, right? Or what's in your house, right? And I think that to say, if we're trying to create these, all this stuff, man, listen, technology has already been there. These kids have been using technology. We're just kind of now catching wind of it, and using it for the good of the kingdom. And
Mm-hmm.
so we did the Instagram call. They loved it. Matter of fact, I got text messages afterwards that were like, can you do this every week? And so the thing is, even though they're apart from their normal way of living, they still crave this relationship with Jesus Christ because they realize that through it all, man, that's what's going to get them through. So that's been an awesome opportunity for us, is learning new platforms like House Party and Instagram Live and Facebook Live and Zoom and some of the other ones that we're using, Kid Check, to send out information. Like, there's so many platforms,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't want anybody to be dissuaded by all of the opportunity or the different ways. Like, find the ones that work for your ministry, right?
Right. Absolutely.
Zoom works for other churches, for a lot of churches, but like for our our kids are like, I don't want to do Zoom. Like, I'll do an Instagram, I'll do maybe even Facebook or things like that, but they're like, Zoom, I'm over it. I've got too many of them. So we had greater numbers on our Facebook Live, YouTube, and Instagram than we had through anything else.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Question for you, man. So I'm moving towards, getting towards the end of this call, because I didn't want to do more than about 30 minutes for this.
Sure.
But I wanted to challenge or ask you this question. Like, how are you learning from God in this season, right? What has your study time changed? Typically when we're clicking through our normal things of getting ready for a Wednesday Bible study, a Sunday service, or small group, like there's things that we prepare because we're studying to teach that. But now in this situation, what are you doing to hear from God? Like, how are you learning from God, and is your study time different?
Yeah. I would say my study time has definitely been different and has been an improvement in a good, like you guys heard earlier, I have a 22-month-old accountability partner that copies everything I do. And one of the things that was really disheartening through the first week was he was constantly grabbing my phone. He was constantly pulling at it because he wants to know what daddy's doing. If he sees daddy on the phone, he wants to be on the phone. And so he wanted to constantly grab the phone. And so I really had to think about, what am I modeling for him during this time? And I know that's not everybody's situation, but for me, I had to look at it and say, how am I modeling this for my own son? And so what we started doing was first 30 minutes of the day, instead of just reading my Bible in my room or listening to it as I'm driving into work, which obviously isn't happening right now, I go grab my Bible, and when he is having breakfast, we go sit down and we read together. And sometimes he wants, me to read out loud, which usually lasts about 30 seconds and then he's done. Sometimes he wants to grab, his own little book and read that. And sometimes, he just likes being with dad. And so I think having that has put a lot in perspective. But it's been a really, really nice and welcome change, because I am no longer rushing into my day. I'm no longer speeding into it. I am taking a slow and gradual. And so with all the challenges that have come with this time, there have been a lot of really, really good things. More time with families, more time honestly thinking about yourself. And we as ministers, we know that usually the last person you think about is you and your own spirituality, and the way that you care for yourself. And so for me, this has been a great opportunity for me to slow down and say, okay, let's take care of me so that I can adequately pour out. Because I think a lot of us are guilty of trying to pour out as quickly as it comes in, and we're never full, and we're never able to fully pour into somebody. And so this has been a great opportunity. I have felt so inspired and so motivated over the last couple of weeks, just because I think I've had time to fill up. I've had a time to refresh my soul. And I'll tell you, on the other side of this, whenever it comes, we are going to see some people hit the ground running, because they have been cooped up with some ideas they've been formulating. And so I'm excited to see what's going on, not only with the kingdom now, but also what's going to happen as a result of this. 3 months from now, 6 months from now, I think that's going to be really, really exciting.
So, one of my favorite scriptures says, in the secret place, it's in the secret place that you'll find me, right? And so you love to work out, I love to work out, but we don't have those opportunities to work out like we normally do. That's our escape. But even so, getting into our scripture, getting into our word is our escape. So what would you say, how important is it to find that time to just escape into scripture? Because with everything that's happening in our nation, man, I get on and I almost feel like the news is almost intentionally trying to find the worst stories just to put it on there so it'll drive you even more nuts, right? But just as is so much on the news, you have to find the good stories to be encouraged. How do you find the time to work out, or even to seek God? I know even you said you have some kids who are seniors or juniors who are expecting to have a starting position their senior year, and now they don't have spring ball. My baseball players, right? What do they do? What are you telling people? How do you find the time for what's is going to make you better physically and spiritually?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And it probably looks different for everyone, but I want to, just say for us as as Christians, that comes before being a minister. And we are always telling people how important it is to take care of themselves, how important it is to be spiritually filled up. If we are not living that out, if we are not taking advantage of that during this time, then we are being hypocritical. I think this is the most important thing you can do right now is make sure you are filled up, because what a lot of people aren't realizing is how much you are actually pouring out during this time. You think, oh, because I'm not in the building with my students, or I'm not talking with my volunteers on as regular of a basis, that I'm not pouring out. But the truth is, you are exercising yourself in a whole new way. You are pouring out probably more than you realize at this point. It is emotionally draining. It is physically draining, because not only are you ministering to people, but you are also enduring what's going on. And so you're kind of getting hit from both sides. So making sure you are filled up, making sure you are encouraged and taken care of is huge. And so I really encourage people, make sure you're doing that. That should be the first thing you are doing every day, is make sure you are filled up. And maybe you're not a morning scripture person. I will be honest, I am not. I like doing mine at night. I am a night owl. That's me. But I've got a little bit different circumstance right now. I've got a little guy who likes to watch what I do, and he was like, okay, we got to shift some things. We got twofold coming out of this. But yeah, I think taking care of yourself is huge. And also just giving yourself grace. I mean, the thing is, this is a whole new situation for everyone. I have got 3 brand new coworkers right now. My wife, my son, and my dog, and they don't know my work habits, and I don't know theirs. And so trying to navigate all that stuff is huge. And so me and my wife are both working from home. She's an educator, and shout out to all the teachers right now who are busting and taking care of their kids.
My wife's a principal, so I get that.
They're incredible. We're trying to figure out how to work together. And now we're on meetings, and, we got everybody's trying to schedule everything. It's like, take care of yourself. Make sure that you are filled up so that you can adequately pour out.
I will admit, because I previously, I was pouring out a lot through just, church and Bible study. But now, with the Zoom calls that are happening every day, and you're pouring and pouring and pouring, but you've got to find that time and be intentional about finding that time, or else you'll drown in work. You'll drown in your thoughts. You'll drown in doubt unless you are doing some stuff to seek the sun. What does the scripture say? Like, weeping endures for a night, but joy is coming. Like, we have to intentionally seek the joy of daylight. I like what you talked about. You have 3 coworkers. One of my other favorite quotes says that they'll close their ears to your advice and open their eyes to your example. Is, even though your coworkers may not tell you I'm watching you, they're watching. And just the same, what you're doing is doing it. So I encourage any youth leader out there, anybody that's on this call, and I got my really good friend and amazing trainer, Miss Shaw. She's I saw her on there. She's a phenomenal fitness person, man. You have to find that time to do what's important, and you'll find out what's important during this season, because your body's going to crave it. You know that when you need something or you use it a lot, your body craves it. So our bodies crave the Spirit. They crave that time with God. Our bodies crave being busy. But like someone else says, whatever you feed will grow, and whatever you starve will die. And so we want our faith to grow, and we want, for our students that are listening, man, you want your muscles to grow. So how are you feeding them? Are you, finding a way just to run up and down the block? Are you finding a way, man, do some, get you the 3-minute workout? Do how many push-ups, sit-ups, and squats you can do in 3 minutes? There are things that you can do, but being intentional about it. And here's the last thing that I wanted to kind of talk through with you. And really intentional thing of this call is, man, let's be honest. We're in 2 different cultural settings, right? My kids are predominantly Black, right? And I'm sure your kids are not predominantly Black.
Right.
But what do you think will be the cultural ramifications post this pandemic, right? Like, what should we be doing as leaders? Because obviously with social media, we are reaching a different audience. We can see kids that are, across the spectrum of culture and ethnicity. But what should we be doing as youth leaders or how should we reach, how should we use this to reach our communities culturally? What should we be doing?
I think that is a phenomenal question. I think one of the things that has surprised me throughout this whole process, is where engagement is coming from. We kind of had been
Mm-hmm.
joking in our ministry about starting a TikTok. We had been joking about it, joking about it, joking about
Mm-hmm.
it. And then when this thing hit, I'm like, you know what? Maybe we should actually do that. And we started getting all kinds of engagements from all over the place, and you are
Mm-hmm.
always thinking about your students. You're always thinking about your
Mm-hmm.
families, your students, the people that you can put a name with and a face with. But one thing I want people to realize during this time is your face is out there in a
Mm-hmm.
lot of different ways that maybe it
Mm-hmm.
hadn't been before. Maybe you have been on social media, you've been engaging, and people have been following you for a while, but you're seeing new engagements. Maybe you're more like me, and that's not really your jam, but you're jumping on there, and people are starting to engage. I think you're starting to see engagements from within your community and from outside of it. And so the biggest thing that I think is most important is realize what you have an opportunity to do right now. You have an opportunity to send a message of hope, and to preach the gospel, and to preach grace and patience and kindness and goodness and love. And most of all, you have an opportunity to tell people about Jesus that maybe you didn't have that portal of engagement
Mm-hmm.
before, but you have it now. So take advantage of that. I think that is something that I just really want to encourage people to do, is look at what's going on your social media, on the internet. You're seeing engagement from all different points in the world, and you have such an opportunity to engage those who usually are a part of your group and those who are just checking it out because they're bored and they're scrolling through. You've got an opportunity with them.
And here's my thing, man. I believe the kingdom is colorblind, right? We have to take that time. And when I say the kingdom is colorblind, is it's not just one color, right? We don't see that. We see hope, we see grace, and what we must do is take that time to look at other things. I'm constantly on you all's Instagram page, right? I'm seeing, what are you guys doing? I look at other churches at their Instagram pages, and I go, okay, now how can I make that fit in my context, right? How can I make that work? I use the other thing was, I was wearing myself out trying to create curriculum for every day. And so I started saying, you know what, why don't I see what curriculum is out there and then seasoning
Mm-hmm.
it for my ministry? So there's some really good curriculums out there. And then you just teach it on Wednesday. Don't be scared about, oh God, I'm teaching someone's that they wrote. Yes, they wrote it, but you're serving it. It's their recipe, but you're the chef.
Mm-hmm.
And how you serve it is how you serve it. So I do challenge people to look across, and that's where we said coloring outside the lines is challenging yourself to say, hey, you know what? This isn't something typical to my culture or the things that I do, but I'm going to try it, because at the end of the day, our job as ministers of the gospel is not just to minister to one area, but to share the love of Jesus Christ, right? And let him do the work, right? What did Paul say? I became all things to all people so that some may be saved, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we have to look at the different things, look at the opportunities, and not be pigeonholed or live in a silo that, well, this isn't the way we do it, right? Well, we're not in a this is the way we do it situation.
Mm-hmm.
This is the time to experiment. This is the time to try stuff out that maybe you wouldn't have done in the normal typical setting, but this is the time to try it out, see what your kids like, engage with them. We do group me. Group me is an
Mm-hmm.
awesome thing. I don't do group me with the
Absolutely.
entire ministry, but I have a small set that we do that I do that with. And I'm like, hey guys, what's working? What's not working? I challenge youth
Mm-hmm.
leaders every week, go back with your team, your core, right? Jesus had all those followers, but he had a core that he was like, who do men say that I am? Right?
Mm-hmm.
He had that group that he said, let's
Right.
talk through, how does this look? How is this perceived? How does our ministry, how is our reach, right? Because if you're doing it based on what you like and not what they need, what will happen is you look good to yourself. And that's
Mm-hmm.
not what we're supposed to be doing. Wanted to just challenge people, man, to look, as we are, when I say color outside the lines, is not be afraid to look at the big church that's maybe doing some amazing stuff.
Yeah.
Also, take the time to look at some of the smaller churches, because don't take the size of the ministry as a church that are doing some phenomenal stuff, right? But you just got to look at it all and then say, now what's going to work in my context, and what will I try and see. It's like with my kids, they'll everything that is in the grocery store, they're not going to be like, oh, I want to try that, right? But because their
Mm-hmm.
dad says, hey, look, I'm going to serve it to you, they say, okay, well, I trust you. And so we are serving our kids a lot of new stuff, but we have to be the ones that are willing enough to get out there and look for the new stuff, but then also try it. I know that since we've been in this new thing, we've had some fails. We've had some fails. Like I tried to do Instagram and Zoom. We try to do it today, right?
Yeah.
But I think the way we win is when we learn from our mistakes, right? Mistakes should be the greatest teacher, right? She said, okay, cool, this didn't work. One of my other favorite quotes says, success is going from failure to failure with enthusiasm. Okay, this doesn't work, but how can I retool it to make it better? How can I find stronger we'd love to do our Instagram calls on Wednesday, but I realized that I can't do them in certain areas of my house because they don't, the internet is weak.
Right.
And so one day I did a whole Instagram Bible study and I was the only one that heard it. And I didn't know it until the very end. Like it just, the feed died. And so I do want to challenge people to do that, man. So to make those mistakes. This is the time to do it. So that when we come out of this, man, you are encouraged, you're creative, and you're trying some new things, man. I read this quote, Coretta Scott King. She said, the greatness of a community is most accurately measured by the compassionate actions of others. We love to do mission trips at our church, and we can't do them this summer because of all the stuff that's going on. But as we close this thing out, man, what is something that you think we could do culturally to engage our community? Coretta Scott, like she said, the compassionate actions of others. Man, what are you guys thinking about doing post this, man, to just share the love? Because we're digitally right now, but what's the one thing that when you get back together that you think will be important to continue this, I don't know, this new normal of reaching our communities outside of our normal way of doing stuff?
Yeah. I think that's a great question. You've got a lot of eyes on you right now. One of the things that we talked about a couple of weeks ago is we launched doing online service, which wasn't something we usually do. It's something we had never done. We tried it out for the first time and it went great. It went very, very well. We've got a very, very talented handbell director who kind of has become our new tech guy and is editing. I mean, everybody's taking on new roles and pulling in for the kingdom here. But it went well. And so the conversation we had after that was, what do we do now? What's next? And so for me, I'm getting a lot of engagements right now with students that are one-on-one because, everybody's doing their check-ins. Everybody's checking in with their students. The thing that has kind of hit me is, as much as we want to have an impact for the gospel, I think maybe the most important thing that we can do right now is to equip our students to also have that impact. And so I think you do a great job getting on campus and branching out and stuff like that. One of the things that I'm looking at right now is I'm about to have a lot of students that are in prominent leadership positions, whether it be their clubs, their schools, organizations, whatever they're in. They're going to have some social influence and some clout in their schools. And so it's like, how can we use that? How can we take our students that are in good positions and say, okay, you are now going to be ministering to your friends. You are now going to be leading the Bible study. You are now going to be leading the prayer group. How can we equip them to do that? I think right now everybody's eyes are on the church. Everybody's looking, saying, okay, what's next? And especially after everybody did online services and was looking at stuff for Easter, you've got people's attention. So I want to encourage people, be creative. Those ideas that you thought, maybe, maybe I'll try that when I get time. You got time, try them. Be humble with those ideas. And when you have something that doesn't work, it's okay. Nobody's an expert in this. Be humble with it. Be gracious to yourself, but also celebrate your wins and look for opportunity.
I like that. I think that's a great way to close this whole thing out is you have their attention. Do something with it. And not only and when we say you, we're not talking about just you as the leader, but the church. We have their attention. And so these kids, and that's a huge point, man. And for anybody that's watching, take that home. Take that to heart. This is a great time for the church, right? For everybody to see what you're doing. But now is the chance to feed into your students and make them what they're supposed to be, disciples, where they can take that and now infect the community even more, saying, listen, God brought us through this. God gave me, when everything was crazy, God was my peace. When I had no idea what was going to happen for the next athletic season, man, God was my encouragement. And you know what? Because I got through it, let me tell you how you can get through it too. So I think it's important that not only are this is the time to be real. This is disciple work, man. This is disciple work right here, where we are getting into the communities. We're going into every man's world, literally and physically. We're in every man's world, and our stretch is even greater. So then post all of this pandemic, we must now challenge our students, right, to do that in their schools, in their athletic teams, in their academic surroundings, even if they're the bagger at the grocery store, right? You are a disciple for Jesus Christ. And now that you're out there screaming Jesus, but you're living that story, and you're being love, you're being patience, you're being joy, and others will say, man, what must I do to be saved, right? Man, you got anything to close us out?
I just want to again say thank you, for being willing to have this conversation, being willing to do this. For all the youth pastors out there, you guys are working hard. You are ministering in new ways. Please, please, please be filling yourself up. Please be gracious to yourself. Realize that not everything's going to go perfect, and that's okay. It's not your fault. It's the reality of what it's in. The shame in, mistakes is not learning from them. The shame in mistakes is growing from them. So take that as a growing point. Say, okay, work out the way I thought it would. I'm going to grow from it. Be humble enough to say, you know what? Sometimes other people got great ideas and I need to borrow them. I need to use them. Nobody is going to take score of this. Everybody is on the same team right now. I'll tell you, I am very, very blessed right now to have a community in Round Rock, and we've got a great number of youth leaders that kind of pour into this Round Rock Youth Leaders community. And one of the things that we've been doing is we have our Facebook group that's open. And what we do is if one of us has a great idea, we say, hey, this worked out well for me. And so we posted there. So we've been looking at what other groups are doing in our community. We've also used that as a point to encourage each other. And so I think just be gracious to yourself, be humble, be filling yourself up so that you can adequately pour out.
That's good, man. Get into community with other leaders. And, I caught this, and we'll close with this. When you go live, watch this. Even if all of your students follow celebrities, your face is right next to the celebrities. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter if you think, my stuff's not that great. When I post, I'm right next to you, Jay-Z going live. I'm right next to whoever your favorite artist is. Taylor Murphy music, right? I'm next to Tyler Murphy. Oh, don't tell him I said. You're next to all of those.
We won't tell him. We won't.
You're right next to all of them, man. So just go out there, serve your community. Your kids want to eat, so serve them well. They're going to eat out of your refrigerator before they go find somewhere else to eat. So keep your refrigerator stocked by getting in your word and serving good food, man.
Absolutely. I
love that. God bless you, man. Thank you for your time. We got to connect again soon. And I know this was an awesome idea. And man, I pray that a lot of people were blessed by it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me on, Will. I appreciate it.
God bless you, man.
All right. We'll talk to you later.